The CDL is back. Well, kinda, because we have the Pro-Am kicking off tomorrow. This is actually the first event in a long time that's actually going to be a pool play into a bracket. It's going to have the old school vibes of all these open events that we used to have. And it'll be interesting because we'll have every Pro League team there, plus 4 challenger teams that qualified through the Minnesota event. And there's also some teams that are going to have to use substitutes. For OpTic Texas, Illey can't compete because of a thumb injury, I believe. So General is going to be filling his spot for the event. The Minnesota Rocker are going to have Havoc in place of Major Maniac. Now, he isn't a substitute. He is taking Major Maniac's spot, but he is a new player on the team. As well as Harry from London Royal Ravens, he will be taking Gizmo's spot because he's out for mental and physical health reasons, I believe. And then lastly, for NYSL, you have Kismet, who's going to be taking Neptune's place. So we're going to get a lot of new looks on a couple of these Pro League teams already. And then we're also going to get to see the Challenger scene to see how they compare, how they stack up against the Pro League teams. The Challenger teams that did make it to the Minnesota event is going to be Ultra Academy, which is Hixie, Mohawk, I don't even know how you say his name, Scrappy, Vikel or Vickle, I don't know how you say his name. And then Team War, which is Denza, Maple, Wardy, and Weeman. Ultra Academy EU, which is Beans, I love the name, Furious, Vortex, and Raffi. And then last but not least, you have Strike X, which is going to be Gunsy, Fire, Ramby, and Silly. So I'm excited because we haven't had competitive Call of Duty in a while. It feels good to kind of be back. I don't really like how they formatted their schedule this year, but that's a whole different point. So I'm not going to go in and predict every single matchup because it is pool play. I'm going to just give you guys the 2 teams that I think are going to make it out of each pool, and then I can kind of have a bracket and I can predict the winner that way. So to get into the pools, Group A is going to be Atlanta FaZe, Seattle Surge, Strike X, and Toronto Ultra. It's a pretty solid pool. I think Atlanta FaZe without a doubt comes out 1 seed. That should be no surprise. And then I have to go with Seattle Surge. I mean, Strike X, they have upset potential? Yeah, probably not. Could they beat Toronto Ultra? Yeah, I could see it maybe, but that's about it. I do have Strike X and Toronto Ultra going home early, not making it out of pool play into the playoff single elimination bracket. And then Group B, we have the Florida Mutineers, the Minnesota Rocker, OpTic Texas, Toronto Ultra Academy EU. What a tongue twister of a name. Now, this is actually going to be one of the tougher pools, in my opinion, because Illey isn't going to be there. Like I said, General's taking his spot. I don't know. Even when you swap one player out, I think it just messes everything up. Do I think OpTic can still make it out of this group? Yeah, of course. They still have 3 unbelievable players, but they don't have an easy pool like, say, Group A, for example. Florida Mutineers, even though they can be very inconsistent, when they're on, they're on. And, you know, we don't know what Florida Mutineers we're going to get from them. Minnesota Rocker could be in the honeymoon phase with Havoc on the squad. And then you have Toronto Ultra Academy, and they're one of the best challenger teams. Obviously, they qualified, and they have a guy named Beans on their squad. So that's where it gets interesting. But I'll tell you what, I do think the top 2 teams are going to be Florida Mutineers and OpTic Texas. I would be surprised, even though OpTic doesn't have Illey, Minnesota is still a new team. Now, just because you swap a player out doesn't necessarily mean your team's going to be unbelievable right off rip. They could still have their growing pains, and they could actually even be worse with Havoc than Major Maniac. Like it's something that is impossible, right? And then this Toronto team, even though I am a Beans fan, I don't see them beating either of the Florida or the OpTic team. And then for Group C, we have the London Royal Ravens, Los Angeles Thieves, New York Subliners, and Team War. Now, I'll be honest, this is absolutely the best group that LAT could have asked for. We know that they're doing a role swap, okay? They've been trying it. I don't know how good or bad it's been going, but compared to some of these other pools, this is what you want. Because you have London Royal Ravens, who didn't perform well at the last major. They also just had to replace Gizmo with Harry. Then you have NYSL. LAT already beat them, and then they made a change. They picked up Kismet. I don't know if that's going to really improve NYSL at all, if we're being honest here. And then lastly, you have the challenger team, which is Team War. And I actually have heard some good things for some of the players on this Team War team. More specifically, the guy named Wardy, Elliot Ward, what a name out of him. Sorry for putting your government out there, homie. But this is a great pool for LAT. Now, I have to think that the top 2 teams are still going to be London and LAT. I haven't seen anything from NYSL besides the major that they did have Neptune in, but they got reverse swept by LAT. And this Team War team, they actually could upset and get top 2. They could. Do I think a challenger team is going to upset and get top 2? I do. Just not in this pool. I have London Royal Ravens and LAT going out. I have London coming in first and LAT coming in second. And then lastly, Group D, we have Boston Breach, the Los Angeles Gorillas, the reigning champions, then Paris Legion and Toronto Ultra Academy. Now, this is the best challengers team. Well, they did win the challengers event in Minnesota. And here's where I have the upset. I think that this Toronto Ultra Academy team will make it out, and that might come to a shock to some of you guys. I think the top 2 teams are going to be LAG and Toronto Ultra Academy. I know Boston Breach has been very solid all year long so far. I think they get kind of caught slipping here. I think that they lose to Toronto. I think that they lose to LAG. I do have LAG getting first and then Toronto Ultra Academy getting second. Paris Legion, well, I don't know. I just think that they're there just to be there. But I would be surprised if Paris get top 2 and make it out of this pool. So what that means for the single elim bracket, that means we would have Atlanta FaZe going up against OpTic Texas in the first round. And unfortunately, that means that Atlanta FaZe is going to win. I would be shocked if OpTic beat Atlanta FaZe with General instead of illey. Is it impossible? No. Is it likely? Also no. This is obviously all just prediction because we might not even get these matchups, but this is just kind of how I see things shaking out. And then this would also put LAG versus the Los Angeles Thieves in the quarterfinals where I don't know. I haven't really watched LAT. I've heard some days are good, some days are bad. I want to root for him, but maybe I'm bad luck at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and say LAG beat LAT and they go into the semifinals, LAG versus Atlanta FaZe. And then we have London Royal Ravens going up against the Toronto Ultra Academy. I really want to say we get an upset here. I truly do. But for some reason, I think Harry is just going to reset the vibes for this London team. I think they're going to come out. They're going to do what they need to do. They're going to have fun. There's not going to be any pressure, right? Going into Minnesota, there was kind of pressure for London to live up to expectations. This, though, it's not going to be the case. So I have London advancing on to the semifinals, and they will be going up against either the Florida Mutineers or the Seattle Surge. And I have Seattle Surge coming out on top. Seattle's a weird team. Both of these teams are weird. I mean, what am I saying? Florida and Seattle, both of them, I don't know which way to go. I just got a feeling that Seattle is actually going to maybe make a little bit of a run this event. So I have them advancing into the semifinals. And then that leaves Atlanta FaZe versus LAG. I know LAG beat the brakes off Atlanta FaZe. I know they did last major, but I think Atlanta FaZe they're out for blood, okay? They've made back-to-back finals, but they haven't been able to get a win. I think that they're coming out guns blazing. I have them beating LAG and heading to the grand finals for a 3rd time in a row. And then for the other semifinals match, we're gonna have London versus Seattle. I got Seattle. I think that they're gonna grit it out. They're gonna maybe win a 3-2 here, and they're gonna be the finals like they were in the opening event. I don't know what it was called, but Atlanta FaZe is going to get the upper hand on them. Atlanta FaZe is going to win their first event of the year. I know that this is a Pro-Am, but there's a lot of money on the line. I know this doesn't have anything to do with CDL points or anything like that, but I think this is going to be big for Atlanta FaZe, and I think this is their event. I think if they don't win this event, it might be tough for them to win an event for the rest of the year. I truly do. Do I think that they could be in every single finals? I do. But they need to get over this mental hurdle and actually just get a dub in Vanguard. That's it. This is the event for it, and it's going to happen.